Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, Holiday Inn Express, the Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn, Russell Street Report, the original Green Turtle, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
In April 1959, Art Wall won the Masters, edging out Carey Middlecoff and Arnold Palmer by finishing birdie, 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 par birdie. 1 month later, Ocean City Golf Club celebrated the opening of their first 18 holes. That course has been transformed now into one of the most scenic golf layouts on the East Coast. Come experience 36 of the most beautiful and challenging holes you'll find anywhere. Ocean City Golf Club in Ocean City, Maryland.
Welcome into another edition of the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap show here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach. We are broadcasting from the Blue Ox to the Ravens Room, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City with Ravens Roost 44. Give yourselves a hand, guys and gals. It is week number 9 in the NFL and week number 8 for your Baltimore Ravens. Now 5-2 coming up. We're going to recap the 43-13 loss to the Houston Texans. We're going to talk news and notes, also talk the AFC North, and preview the upcoming game against the Cleveland Browns kickoff at 1 o'clock. The Ravens Wrap Show brought to you by the original Green Turtle, the Blue Ox, our friends at Bud Light, Comfort and Gold Coast, also Geico, the Ocean City Golf Club, jctickets.net, and the Holiday Inn Express. I'm Mike Bradley from 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. To my left, OC local, firefighter, and just a good old, just Ravens.
Wait a minute.
Ravens ticket holder.
It's Halloween.
Yeah, it is.
I'm Mike Bradley.
Ooh. Are you? Uh-oh.
I'll be running the show tonight.
That's bad. That's bad.
That's the best I can do for
bad
costume.
mug. That's a bad mug. Do you really have to look at this every week? That's terrible.
That's the reason that you're
terrible.
on radio.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh, I know.
We would have dressed up as Garrick, but we didn't know he wasn't going to be here.
Joel Feldman joining us. Joel, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Also, Ravens Roost 44 member, also a frequent guest of the program as well, Steve Slosser. Steve, welcome back in. Thank you. I gotta get a little love for your own. Well, hey, the good news is we survived Hurricane Sandy. I tell you what, so hopefully I'm glad to see all the smiling faces here and everybody's safe and sound. A storm that obviously could have been a lot worse than it ended up being, but we're glad we made it through another storm. Very fortunate, so we appreciate it. And as we're taping here, happy Halloween to everybody as well. And I see a few scary faces on this on this panel. So, but yeah, exactly. See,
this is going to get a lot of airtime.
Well, I tell you what was a little ugly, guys, a couple of weeks ago, and we'll focus on the Houston game a little bit. I know it was a couple of weeks ago, and we've had the bye since then, but there's some reoccurring themes in that game that I think are important to talk about as we go forward here into the upcoming game against the Cleveland Browns. I guess a couple of things that come to note, guys, just to talk about. There's some things that, in my mind, I'm wondering about this team from week to week. What can we hang our hat on? That was a theme of my program up in Baltimore last week on The Fan was, what can we hang our hat on? We clearly can't hang our hat on the defense right now. And offensively, while they've played well at home for the most part, they have not traveled well either. So what can we hang our hat on? And we certainly right now seem to be in flux as to what we can count on from week to week. I guess in addition to that, you take a look at a game against Houston. It was a very good team. They were coming off a loss at home to the Green Bay Packers. They had another home game, so a lot of people didn't feel as if they were going to lose 2 straight at home, so they had some more motivation. They're a very good AFC team. Some people think that they're going to go to the Super Bowl representing the AFC. So, you take a look at this loss, and I had to look back, guys. This is one of the biggest margin of losses in the Harbaugh era. You go back to 2008, his first year, when we lost to Indianapolis 31-3. Later in the year, we lost to the Giants 30-10. I know in 2009 there was that Monday night game against Green Bay, which was 27-14, but it felt like 44-14 in that one. So I don't want to jump off the edge of the cliff with this loss, but just some thoughts, early thoughts about that loss to the Texans and the team as we stand now and going forward.
Well, I think, and actually to look back at the stats, I think it's one of the biggest losses we've had since they've been in existence. It was an ugly game. We all know that. And I think for years and years, and you've heard me say it before, we've had that identity. We've had that defensive identity. I mean, we have been one of the best defensive teams over the years. Not just, for years we've been one of the best defensive teams. We're not that this year. We know that. We all know that. Between the loss of key players to free agency and things like that, and an injury. So, my thing has been, okay, we got to step it up. The offense needs to, take it by the reins there, and Cam, it's his time to shine. And I just don't think, we're doing it. I'm going to beat on it all week, but, the fact of the matter is Ray Rice has to get the ball. He's the best in the NFL. We paid him to do that, and you have to give him the ball. If he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he can't do it. And I think that's a recurring theme that's been going on. I will say this, to take a beating like that was pretty bad, but to go into the bye week and come out to have Cleveland, I think that's, that'll be good for us. And to have Suggs back, there's some positive things we need to build on, and we were talking about it. We're 5-2. The NFL's not that great right now, so we're 5-2. It's could be a lot worse.
Well, and Steve, a couple of weeks ago, we were very, very fortunate. Steve Bisciotti, owner of the Ravens, was part of the broadcast as well as Gary Williams. He talked about the fact that, hey, even if we lose this game against Houston, we're still 5-2. We've got a bye to recover. We've got games at Cleveland, then at home against Oakland. In the NFL, nothing's a given week to week, but certainly games that are winnable for this team. So we could still come out of this potentially 7-2 with all the flaws we have.
I was basically working the room. I'm a working the room kind of guy, and I definitely felt the vibe in the room. I heard some conversation of, we might not win another game this year. We'd be lucky to go 8-8. And unfortunately, the Ravens' roost reflects the mood of what's being yelled in the stands. Is the fans feel what's happened the last 3 weeks, but the reality is we won 2 of those 3 games. Yeah, we only scored 9 points in Kansas City, but part of that was the curse of Ravens Roost 44, but they managed to beat that and win, which they didn't do last year in Jacksonville. But the reality is, this team is good, or as good as any other team in the NFL. We were talking before, and there's not one team in the NFL that doesn't have a glaring weakness. Either doesn't have any defensive backs, doesn't have a quarterback, has no offensive philosophy. And, I think we're going to come on. But the fact, if we can get to 7-2, then we have some margin for error. If we don't win the next 2 games, then every game is going to be a nail-biter down the stretch just to see if we can get in. But, our problem for the next couple weeks is that we play on the road. And, unfortunately, we need to – I think we can do it in the Ravens Roost, get Joe a teddy bear or something, but he just doesn't play.
Joe gets homesick.
Maybe Mom can travel.
And it's only been since he got married, too, so I don't know.
Could do one of them.
That's being a little harsh, but certainly they have not played as well on the road. And 3 of the next 4 games are on the road. Cleveland, home against Oakland, but then at Pittsburgh, at San Diego.
Tough stretch.
I guess, guys, we talk about 5-2, and look, that's still second best in the AFC as it stands right now. I think the only reason that I bring up some of the concern and some of the negative, factors with the team is the fact that these are things that have been occurring week in and week out going back, especially the ability to stop the run, the ability to shut down the opponent to some extent. It's not just been one game against Houston. It goes back to Dallas. It goes back to Kansas City, especially being gashed against the run. And also the inability to get a pass rush. I'm not saying the offense doesn't have their issues, but from a defensive standpoint, they have not been anywhere near consistent. At least the offense, you've been able to count on them a little bit more clearly than the defense.
Yeah, it's been difficult. Listen, we're only on, once a week, and of course, we skip the bye week, and they're up in Baltimore talking. I listen to it up there every day. And believe me, the bye week, when you lose going to the bye week, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Let's keep in mind the other thing too. We lost to Philadelphia by 1 point, so we could just as easily be 6-1. But there's a lot of things they have to work on. A lot of things we don't see. Tony's a big one. He's not here tonight, but he is up there at camp and he sees what's going on. We all know that at the castle they're working on a lot of things. I think having Suggs back, Suggs is going to be that not only just just dominating force that he is. He's going to be that emotional leader. The Ray Lewis type guy out on the field. So I think you're going to see a big difference. Suggs had a great game. He really did. For coming back after a serious injury like that, he had a great game against a very good team. But they're going to have to work on some things. But I feel confident they'll come out of this and take it to the Browns.
That was something, Steve, that I think we would all a couple of weeks ago, that Wednesday leading into the game against Houston, thinking you know, I know we heard the rumors about Terrell Suggs coming back, but okay, even in the extreme chance that he comes back, which is unbelievable that he did, okay, how effective is he going to be? How much is he really going to play? But the stat sheet shows 4 total tackles, that is. 3 of them were solo tackles. He had a sack, and he had a couple of quarterback hits as well, and I think a pass deflection. Yeah. I mean, he not only played, guys, but he made an impact there as well. He was at least one defensive player that showed up in that game.
Yeah.
I thought if he was going to go out there, he would just go out there to maybe take on 2 blockers. So they at least had to account for him.
He did a lot of that too.
There's no way I thought that he was going to be that effective. He had 1 sack, but the reality was, you know, if he had been in real good shape, which he will be in another couple weeks, he could have had 2 more sacks. But knocking down a pass, I mean, he played really well, and he was really only doing it with his upper body. He wasn't doing a whole lot with his legs. You know, there's one time where he grabbed 2 blockers and threw them. Yeah. And, you know, we don't have anybody else on the team that can do that, plain and simple. No. But I was going to say, Joel actually converted me during the break. You know, I was thinking like everyone else, oh, it's our defense. We can't stop the run. We can't stop the run. We got to fix the defense. But Joel was saying, hey, we got to fix the offense. You know, we got to know who we are. And the simple thing is we're not giving our best player the ball. I mean, Ray Rice is our best player. And I saw before the show, I was actually, you know, watching ESPN, and they listed 3 top players in the NFL, and Ray Rice was their number 3 player. And the other 2 were quarterbacks, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So, I mean, if you're not giving the ball to what experts, you know, agree is the number 3 player in the NFL, you're missing the boat. But if we simply did it just so, you know, we could be less predictable, and also so we could keep our defense off the field and on the sideline a little bit more, you know, I think fixing the offense would help fix the defense.
Oh, I think there's no question about it. It's an excellent point. We talk about the no huddle that the Ravens have employed this year, and it worked very well against Cincinnati. It's worked well in some other games. On the road, it has not, but if you're using it the majority of the time, that could really hurt because, and I think, Steve, you pointed this out a few weeks ago, when it's going good, it's good, but when it's not going good and you get 3 and outs and you're putting a defense that's struggling on the field time and time again. Yeah, I mean, you guys are absolutely right. It's playing into the defense's ineffectiveness because the offense being ineffective. So I think that's a very fair point and something that I think they're going to have to be more judicious in using the no huddle. That said, though, you'd like to see some semblance in the no huddle working on the road. And that hasn't been the case. We got about 60 seconds, but they've got to find a way to make that work when they do use it on the road.
But also the weaknesses that we have as an offense, our receivers can't get off the line of scrimmage. We have a limited route tree. You know, it makes us very predictable and makes us easy to stop.
Well, the next segment maybe we'll touch a little bit too because John Harbaugh came out and his press conference after the game was the generic one. Yeah, that's that. But on Monday he admitted a couple things, and I think you're starting to see. Where maybe Harbaugh and Cameron are starting to maybe think a little differently, and it's time for Harbaugh to be the head coach. So I think, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
There's certainly a lot to talk about. With a bye week, you get an awful lot of time to be able to self-scout yourself, be able to have meetings, gather information, and make changes and go from there. And we've got lots to talk about with that and the game as we look forward here to the Cleveland game. It is the Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and Delmarva's Rock Radio, home of the Ravens, 93.5 The Beach. We're back next.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, Holiday Inn Express, the Ocean City Golf Club, Comfort Inn, Russell Street Report, the original Green Turtle, and hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome to the Comfort Inn Gold Coast. Conveniently located just 1 block from the beach and adjacent to shopping at the Gold Coast Mall and the movie theater. Newly renovated and open year-round with a marvelous bayfront view. Visit us on the web at comfortgoldcoast.com and see our hot deals and great golf packages, or simply call our direct reservation line to plan your stay.